जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. नाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गौर प्रेमानंद।
1 minute, we want to bring you little friend.
Hare Krishna, welcome you all for our Friday satsang. So without further ado, we'll go into today's lecture. So 2 days back we celebrated Sri Narasimha Jayanti, and before I start, I would like to express my gratitude to His Grace Asimanta Krishna Prabhu and Shivaguna Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to glorify Narasimha Bhagavan and his dearmost devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. So before we begin, let us start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vikam Tam Sajivam Sadvedam Savadutam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvidamsya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyeva cha Vidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome you all for this most auspicious event of Narasimha Chaturdasi. So as you know, Prahlad Charitra is mentioned in which scripture? In Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam, as you know, it deals with 10 subject matters, which we discussed 2 days back. Braj Prakash Prabhu gave us a lecture, and in that he mentioned what are the 10 subject matters which are discussed in the 12 cantos of Bhagavatam? Anyone? Sarga, which is primary creation. Then comes Visarga, secondary creation. Sthanam. Sthanam means maintenance of the universe by Bhagavan. Then Poshana, which is a special care given by Bhagavan to his devotees. Then Uti. Uti means desires. Okay. Then Manvantara, the periods controlled by the Manus. Ishanukada, number 7, Ishanukada, which is information about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nirodha. Nirodha is annihilation. So there is creation, maintenance, and finally annihilation. Then Mukti, which is liberation of the conditioned souls. And finally Ashraya, which is provided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the 10 subject matters in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And one subject is specifically dealt in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is Uti. Uti, or in singular it is Utayaha, which means good and bad natures, or vasanas, or desires. But it could also mean auspicious desires and inauspicious desires. So interestingly, in the 7th canto of Bhagavatam, two personalities come face to face with these two different natures. Who are they? Prahlad Maharaj, who represents auspicious nature, and his demoniac father, Hiranyakashipu, who represents inauspicious nature. So we can have both these natures in ourselves. So it is important to know how we can overcome the inauspicious side of ours. So the 7th canto describes what happened when these two personalities came face to face. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, you might wonder, why should we worship Lord Narasimha Dev? We know that the topmost worship is that of the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So why should we worship Lord Narasimha Dev specifically? Okay. Destroyer of anarthas. So an interesting point is in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was with Gadadhar Pandit in Tota Gopinath temple, they used to read specifically from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. They used to read about the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj. So though the most important part of Bhagavatam is the 5 chapters of Rasa Leela, and as you know, Gadadhar Pandit is none other than Radharani, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is yes, in the mood of Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come. So naturally, we would think that they should be discussing about the Rasa Leela, which is considered, the 5 chapters are considered the Pancha Prana of Srimad Bhagavatam. But instead, they were discussing and relishing the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj. So, as you can see in this picture, His Grace Panchagangri Prabhu, he was often asked this question: why are you worshipping Narasimha Bhagavan when Radha Madhav is next to you? So, His Grace Panchagangri Prabhu used to say that there are a lot of anarthas in our heart. And on the path of bhakti, to overcome these anarthas, we need the special protection of Narasimha Bhagavan. So that is why we specifically pray to Narasimha Bhagavan to uproot all these obstacles from our heart. So though Narasimha Bhagavan has come in the Ugra form, to his devotees he is Anugraha. So he came in the Ugra form to destroy Hiranyakashipu, but to his devotees he is in the Anugraha form. He gives special mercy to those who pray to him. So with this mode we should pray to Narasimha Bhagavan so that we can remove all our anarthas from our heart, so that we can reach the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Madhav. So this is an auspicious occasion which describes the appearance day of Narasimha Bhagavan and the disappearance of Hiranyakashipu. Okay. So in that mode, let us pray to Narasimha Bhagavan, who appeared from a pillar. In Sanskrit, the word for pillar is stamba. Why the importance of stamba is because stamba has another meaning also. Stamba means pride. Why is it compared to a pillar? Because a pillar stands tall and erect, doesn't bow down before anyone. So similarly, there is a lot of pride in our hearts. So we should pray to Narasimha Dev that our hearts which are ruled by Hiranyakashipu, O Lord, please enter our hearts and break down this pillar of pride, so that all our anarthas get destroyed and we can reach your lotus feet. So Hiranyakashipu means, as you know, Hiranya means gold. So it describes the mentality of a person who is very much attracted to material wealth. So one who has an attraction for material wealth is supposed to have a lot of Hiranya tendencies in his heart. And Kashipu, the word Kashipu is bedding, soft bed. So it can have two meanings. It can mean laziness, so one who is very lazy, and one who has attraction for the opposite sex. A lot of lust in his heart, that is also has a meaning of Kashipu. So Hiranyakashipu, we all have these Hiranyakashipu tendencies in our heart. So let us pray to the Lord to destroy this Hiranya Pravarti and Kashipu Pravarti within our hearts. Because our devotion is just like a creeper and our anarthas are like a mountain. So in order to overcome these anarthas, we need the protection of Narasimha Bhagavan. So you all are familiar with this pastime of Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. So I will just read certain passages from the 7th canto. It's impossible to cover everything within 1 hour, but the important ones we'll cover. So we'll start from the 7th canto, 5th chapter. So Prahlad Maharaj was sent by his father, Hiranyakashipu. He was entrusted to the two sons of Shukracharya, Shanda and Amarka. They were his teachers. So he was sent to a Gurukul to learn the materialistic way of life. And Prahlad was taught the different topics of politics and economics, and Prahlad Maharaj was never interested in it because he understood that in order to be successful, you should distinguish people as one as your friend and one as your enemy, and he did not like that. So after his education, one day, Hiranyakashipu called his son and asked him very affectionately, "What is the best thing that you learned from your teachers?" So when Hiranyakashipu asked, "What did you learn from a teacher?" Prahlad Maharaj was actually reminded of his guru. Who was his guru? Narada Muni. Guru means one who can remove the darkness of ignorance from one's consciousness. So what did you learn from your gurus? And Prahlad Maharaj was immediately reminded of what Narada Muni had taught him. And did Prahlad go to Narada Muni's Gurukula? No. How did he learn from Narada Muni? When he was in the womb of Kayadu, Kayadu happened to be in Narada Muni's ashram, and Narada Muni heard from, Prahlad Maharaj heard from Narada Muni, and that's how he learned. So, right from in the womb itself, Prahlad Maharaj was able to take instructions, and it also shows the compassion of Narada Muni. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that whomever you see, you should give Krishna Upadesh. You should give Krishna instructions. Yare deka, tare kaha, Krishna Upadesha. So whomever you see, whomever you come across. But did Narada Muni actually see Prahlad Maharaj? No. He hadn't even seen Prahlad Maharaj. He didn't know what kind of a person Prahlad Maharaj was. But he knew that Prahlad will become a great devotee of Bhagavan. So that was the compassion of Narada Muni. So Prahlad, what he learned from his guru Narada Muni, that he told to his father. And what did he say? He said that one who has accepted a temporary body in this world, he is for sure going to fall into a dark well, Antakuba, where there will be no water but only suffering. This is what he told his father. There will be only suffering. So one should give up this kind of life, and instead he should go to a forest and he should meditate on the Lord and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Lord. And how did Hiranyakashipu respond to this? He laughed. Hiranyakashipu laughed. He said, "Oh, this boy's intelligence has been spoiled by some Vaishnava, some Vaishnava is somehow coming in disguise to the Gurukul, and he's being brainwashed by this Vaishnava. His intelligence is not correct. So he called his assistants, the sons of Shukracharya, Shanda and Amarka, and he said that, teach this boy properly, give him proper education. He doesn't know what is the real meaning of life, so give him proper instructions and make sure that he doesn't come in association with any Vaishnava. So the two teachers took Prahlad back to the Gurukul, and they were inquisitive to know, how did Prahlad come to know about this, that the materialistic life is not the actual way of life. So they called Prahlad, spoke to him affectionately, and they told him, they asked him, how come your intelligence has become polluted? Please tell us, because we are eager to know. And then Prahlad Maharaj said that the external energy of Bhagavan actually creates this. What you told me, what you have taught us earlier is that we should have friends and we should have foes. But this distinction is created by the Maya energy of Bhagavan, the external energy of Bhagavan. And a Pandita, one who is learned, a Pandita, he never makes such distinctions, because his understanding is that all jivas are the eternal servant of Bhagavan. So there is no one such as one's friend or one's enemy. So Shanda and Amarka, they became so angry. They chastised Prahlad Maharaj, and they said that this boy needs to be rectified. They said, bring a stick. And they chastised and they threatened Prahlad Maharaj, and they started to teach him about religion, economic development, and sense gratification. And after some time, when they thought that Prahlad Maharaj was sufficiently educated, they brought him in front of his father. And as soon as he saw his father, he paid his obeisances, and his father, being so affectionate, he took him on his lap, smelt his head, showered his blessings, and Hiranyakashipu was very happy. And tears were flowing from his eyes, seeing his son, his dear son. And then he asked, what did you learn from your Gurukul? Please repeat to me, what is the best of knowledge? And Prahlad Maharaj, what did he say?
Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanevidanam, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu, Bhaktishtya, and all that.
Hari Bol. So Prahlad Maharaj started to mention about the 9 ways of devotion service. So one who has dedicated his life by following any of these 9 methods, he is supposed to be the most learned person, the one who has acquired complete knowledge. And what was the response of Hiranyakashipu when he heard this? He became so angry. He didn't divert his anger immediately to Prahlad, but it was directed towards Shanda. He said, "Oh, unqualified son of a Brahmana, is this what you have taught my son? I told you to teach him about religion, economic development, and this is what you have told him." And Shanda became so petrified because he knew the mood of Hiranyakashipu. If he gets angry, his head won't be on his neck. So Shanda became so angry, and Shanda became so terrified. And he said, "I don't know how this boy has learned this from, and from whom he has learned this. Anyway, we haven't taught any of these things to him. So, and please don't chastise us, because chastising a Brahmana son is not good." So Shanda, in this way, Shanda responded. And then Prahlad Maharaj then continued saying that, "Oh Father, one who is very much addicted to sense gratification, their future is very bleak. They are going to end in a hellish life. And because they don't know the real meaning of life, they don't understand that the goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Instead, they will fall in this pit, and they are going to suffer birth after birth. And unless they meet a Vaishnava, unless they attain the dust from the feet of a Vaishnava, they are never going to understand who God is and how to go back to God. This was too much for Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so blinded with anger that he threw Prahlad Maharaj from his lap. His eyes became red with anger, and he yelled at his servants. He said, "Take this boy away and kill him." Just imagine, a father wants his own son to be killed. This is the demoniac mentality of Hiranyakashipu. He said that this boy has taken hands, he is hand in glove with my sworn enemy, Vishnu, who is the killer of my brother, Hiranyaksha. So Prahlad doesn't deserve to live. Kill him. Because he is not trustworthy. And interestingly, Hiranyakashipu gives an example. Like, medicinal herb is not in the category of humans. But when required, we take the assistance of medicines or medicine herbs. And similarly, when a part of the body is diseased, it needs to be amputated. Otherwise, it will be a threat to one's life. So similarly, this boy, though he's my son, he's my family, he's part of my family, he doesn't deserve to live. He needs to be killed. So Hiranyakashipu gets so wild, he throws Prahlad Maharaj from his lap and says, "Kill him." What does he think of himself? He's talking to me about austerity. I performed so much of tapasya on top of Mantrachala hill. I stood on one leg with arms raised above. Fire was emerging from my body. The whole Trilokas were trembling because of the power of my austerity. And you are talking to me about austerity? So Hiranyakashipu in that manner became so angry, and he told his servants to kill him. And as soon as Hiranyakashipu's servants heard this order, they all got so excited because they are also Asuric in nature, and all they know is to hunt and kill. That is their nature. So the moment they got this opportunity to kill Prahlad Maharaj, they all became so excited. So now we'll discuss some verses from the 7th canto, from 7.5.39 onwards, where Shukadev Goswami explains in detail what trouble and torture this 5-year-old Prahlad had to undergo. Nairitaste samadishta bhartra. So the moment the demons got the command from their king, without any hesitation, Vaishula Panaya. Shula means spear.
Trident.
And Pana means hand. So here it's written Panayaha, which is in plural. So it can have two meanings. One is that they took different weapons in their hands, or they took weapons in so many hands. They had more than 2 hands. So they took these weapons in their hands, and what did they do? Tigma damshtra karalasyas. So they had very sharp teeth, damshtra, very sharp teeth. Tamras marshru shiroruha. And their complexion, tamra means copper red. That complexion was copper red. And shiroruha, their hair was standing on head. They were all so excited. They wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj. Nadanto bhairavam nadham. And they were making all kinds of tamasic sounds. They were so excited. They wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj. So They were making all kinds of shouting and shrieking. And what were they saying? Chindi binditi vadina. He said, kill him, pierce him, stab him. And what was the response of Prahlad Maharaj? Asinam chahanan shule. Prahlad Maharaj was sitting still. Prahradam sarva marmasu. And these demons, they attacked Prahlad from all directions. Who was marmasu means soft. Sarva marmasu means Prahlad's body was so tender, so soft. And on that tender body of Prahlad Maharaj, these demonic servants of Hiranyakashipu attacked from all sides. And then what happened? Pare Brahmani Anirdeshe Bhagavati Akilatmani. That Supreme, who is not perceivable by the senses, Akilatmani, he is the super soul of everyone. Yuktatmani Afala Asan. And on this Supreme Lord, who cannot be perceived by your senses, who is a super soul in everyone's heart, on him, who was meditating? Prahlad Maharaj's mind was meditating on that Supreme. And because of that, Afala, the weapons that were directed against Prahlad Maharaj, did not have any effect. Afala. Apunya Syeva Satkriya. Just like a person who has no credit, when he does any pious deed, it won't have any effect. So similarly, the weapons which were directed against Prahlad Maharaj, it would come close to Prahlad and then it would fall away. It would not touch the tender body of Prahlad Maharaj. So the servants of Hiranyakashipu, they tried so many times and all their attempts were not successful. So they went back to their master, Hiranyakashipu, and they said that we couldn't even scratch his body. So Hiranyakashipu said, don't worry, there are other methods. And what were the other methods? Now Shukadeva Goswami goes to the extent of describing the torture that Prahlad Maharaj was made to undergo. This is to extol the glories of Prahlad Maharaj. So the first thing that he did is Diggajayar. Gaja means elephant. Dig means direction. So directional elephants it means. That means elephants from all directions, from side, forwards, backwards, and even from top. Elephants were dropped on him. And what happened? The elephants, just like the weapons, the elephants would come near to Prahlad and then they would just go away. They were not able to even touch Prahlad Maharaj. So again they went back to Hiranyakashipu, said that this failed. And important thing is note that is it's written in plural, Diggajayar. So it was this method was tried multiple times, not just once. They did it many times, they failed, and they went back to Hiranyakashipu. And then Hiranyakashipu said, don't worry, we still have more. And what's coming next? Dandashu came. Dandashuka means very powerful, poisonous snakes. So Prahlad was kept in a room. Just imagine yourself in a room full of snakes. You won't even stay there for a minute, right? Even one snake we can't tolerate. Prahlad was put in a room packed with snakes. And these were just not ordinary snakes. These were powerful, poisonous snakes. And these snakes were forcibly, they were not given any food. They were starved so that they could devour Prahlad. But again, just like the elephant's case, the snakes would come near Prahlad and then they would move away. They just behaved like the elephants. Again, they went back to Hiranyakashipu. We failed. What should we do, Prabhu? Please tell us. Hiranyakashipu said, there are even more interesting methods. Then came black magic, abhichara. So, Shanda and Amarka, they recited Marana mantras. just by chanting mantras. They were so powerful in those days. Just by chanting mantras, they could destroy a person. So they chanted mantras. Again, had no effect on Prahlad. Then they employed tantrics so that they can invoke ghost pretas into Prahlad's body so that Prahlad will lose his mental balance. He'll forget everything and lose his mental balance. But again, no effect. In fact, the ghosts actually attacked the tantrics and they became mad. So again, no effect on Prahlad Maharaj. Again, they went back to, again, this is all written in plural. And they went back to Hiranyakashipu. We failed, Prabhu. Please tell us. He said, okay, we'll move on to the next method. What is that? Avapatane. To throw him from the top of a mountain. So Prahlad was taken to the top of a mountain. And while just before he was being thrown off the cliff of the mountain, they asked him, Prahlad, this is your last chance. Are you ready to surrender to your father, Hiranyakashipu? Are you ready to forsake your Lord, Vishnu? Prahlad would just remain silent. And since he didn't respond, they just threw him off the cliff. And who was there to protect him? Bhagavan was there with outstretched palms, and he would make sure that no harm came to his devotee. It's mentioned like as if Prahlad landed on a bed of flowers. Likewise, Bhagavan, with his outstretched palms, he would protect his dear devotee. Again, this was done multiple times. Again, all methods failed. So they went back to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu said, still, we haven't exhausted our list. There is still more to come. And he said, use your illusory tricks, Mayabi Sannirodascha, Garardhane Abhojane. And by the illusory tricks, what do they do? Till now, Prahlad Maharaj knows what's in store for him. But using illusory tricks, you can make him lose his balance. So for instance, so that he will know he'll be clueless about what is going to happen next. So create an illusion of land. At the moment he steps onto the land, it should be actually a dark black well, deep black well. Or create an illusion of water. And when he tries to step on water, immediately fire should erupt. So they tried all kinds of illusory tricks to break the resolve of Prahlad Maharaj. But again, nothing happened. So after Maya, what came next? Sannirodha. Nirodha means to stop. San means completely stop. So what do? They imprisoned Prahlad Maharaj. They put him in a room where he could hardly move, where he could hardly breathe even. But again, it was done multiple times, but again they failed. Then they moved on to the next method, Garadhanair. Dana means to give. Dana means to give. Gara means powerful poison. This is not just ordinary poison, powerful poison. Normally, if someone is poisoned, there will be some antidote to revive them. But Prahlad was given the kind of poison where there is no antidote available. The most powerful poison he was given. And how did Prahlad accept the poison? Just like he was drinking Charanamrita. He received it as if he was receiving prasadam. And nothing happened to him. Why? Because his faith was so strong. He had so much belief in the Supreme Lord. So similarly, when we also honor prasadam, we say we don't eat prasadam, we honor prasadam. Why? Because with that faith, we should accept prasadam. What do we pray before we have prasadam? Mahaprasade Govinde Brahmani Vaishnavere Swalpa Punyam. Those who have little piety, they cannot understand the importance of 5 things. What are they? Mahaprasadam, Namam, Govinda. Govinda, Nama, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Because Why don't understand? Because they don't have faith. But here in this case, Prahlad Maharaj had so much faith in the Lord that nothing happened to him. So they failed in that also. Hiranyakashipu went on to the next method. What is that? Garadanar. After that? Bhojana. Bhojana means food and water. Bhojana means without food. So Prahlad was made to starve. Again, Prahlad was not bothered. He was constantly chanting and remembering the Lord. And Prahlad didn't become weak. If we fast from morning till dusk, what happens? We end up with a headache. We become so weak. So nothing happened to Prahlad. And again, Abhojanai, this was done multiple times. Nothing happened to Prahlad Maharaj. Then Hiranyakashipu moved on to his next Hima Vaivagni Salila. Hima means cold, ice or cold. He was exposed to ice and cold. He was dipped in icy water. He was submerged in icy water. And people were standing around, servants were standing around. So in case he tried to emerge from the water, from that side, okay, you should again push him down inside the water. If he comes from this side, you are in charge. You should make sure that he is submerged in this icy water. He should freeze to death. This was Hiranyakashipu's order. And again, nothing happened to Prahlad. Then he was faced to Vayu, windstorms. When there is a storm, what do? We take shelter of indoors. We go inside. But again, Prahlad Maharaj was made to face the wrath of these storms. And again, nothing happened. Then the next method, Agni. He was thrown into boiling pots of oil, which was like lava. Just imagine a 5-year-old boy by his own father, just because he had a different concept of life. He was treated like a sinner in hell. They tried to immerse him in this boiling pots of oil. And Prahlad Maharaj, not even once did he complain. This is what we have to learn from these pastimes. When we have reversals in life, even the smallest reversal in life, and immediately our bhakti goes for a 6. Oh Lord, I've been chanting your name for so many years. I've been doing so much of devotional service. And this is how you respond. You are giving me, as it is, I have so many problems in office. And on top and above, you are making my bhakti life so much difficult. But Prahlad Maharaj here, he didn't even complain. He's gone through so much of torture, and not even once did he raise his finger or raise his voice. So after Agni, what came? Salila. Salila means water. It has two meanings. It can mean water or aquatic species. So he was thrown into the ocean so that he would drown or would be eaten by the aquatic life. But neither happened. And then came Parvata Akramanai. That is the last method. He was huge boulders, huge massive boulders, mountain-like stones were thrown upon the tender body of Prahlad Maharaj, but even not a scratch was caused. So these were the various methods by which Hiranyakashipu's servants tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj. Okay. So what happened? Na Shashaka Yada Hamtum. They were not able to kill Apapam Asura Sutam, the Apapa son of this Asura, the sinless son, that is Prahlad Maharaj. And what happened to Hiranyakashipu? Chintam Dirkatamam Praptas. Hiranyakashipu started to become anxious. Tat Kartam Nabhyapadyata, because he could not achieve anything. So all attempts failed here, and Hiranyakashipu started to become very anxious. Chintam Dirkatamam Praptas. So just imagine, Hiranyakashipu, he had acquired so many boons from whom? Lord Brahma. Brahma had made him almost invincible, almost immortal. And here he was getting anxious over whom? A 5-year-old boy. Whereas Prahlad Maharaj, he was so peaceful. He didn't receive any boons from anyone. But here this 5-year-old boy is looking so peaceful and calm. And his father, who has all the boons and this achievable that he could get, he has become so anxious. Chintam dirghatamam praptas. And then he becomes introspective. He starts to think. Esha me bhav asadhuto. Many times I have used ill names against Prahlad. Vadopayascha nirmita. And nirmita. I have devised many methods to kill Prahlad. Tastay droher asadhame. And these methods, it's interesting to note, he is saying that they were droha and asad dharma. They were treacherous and abominable. So Hiranyakashipu is well aware that what he is doing is not right. So he is saying that the methods that I used to kill my son were treacherous and abominable. But somehow muktas svenaiva tejasa. There is some power which is protecting him. He has some tejas, some prowess, which is by which he is able to save himself. So Hiranyakashipu starts to become from anxiety, he slowly moves to become, he's getting afraid. His mood is slowly changing. So now he's thinking that although he is a boy now, and I have done so many ill things to him, he is going to keep all this in his mind. And when he grows up, he's definitely going to retaliate. When I become old and weak, Prahlad will really, he's going to give it back to me. So that was the fear. This is the demonic mentality. So this is how Hiranyakashipu was thinking of his own son. Vartamano avidurevai. So dura means far away. Vidura means very far away. And here it's written none of these. Avidure. So when Prahlad Maharaj was being attacked, he didn't run away or he didn't even hide himself. He was still staying there. He didn't fight back. He didn't protect himself. He didn't run away. And Ajada Di. Jada means lazy or fearful. And Di means intellect. So Prahlad Maharaj was not even for a moment, he was lazy in his remembrance of the Lord. And he was not at all fearful of my attacks. So definitely he is going to keep all this in his mind. The atrocities that I committed against him. And when he grows up, he is going to attack me. And the last line, Shuna Shepa Iva Prabhu. So Hiranyakashipu is such an asura that he is comparing Prahlad Maharaj's devotion to what? Shuna. To a dog's tail. He is saying that I gave him all comforts in life. And I tried to drive some sense into this boy's head through forceful means. But it is like forcing a dog's tail into a hollow tube. What will happen if you insert a dog's tail into a hollow tube? Will it become straight? Likewise, my boy is beyond correction. So interestingly, Acharyas say that our bhakti should be like this dog's tail. Why? Come what may,
Be steadfast.
our bhakti should always be steadfast. It shouldn't waver, it should be steady. So in the 7th canto itself, Hiranyakashipu is described as Mastaka Jwaram. He was a headache for the 3 worlds. But now, Hiranyakashipu was having a headache. Because of whom? Because of Prahlad Maharaj. Because he was worried that Prahlad Maharaj is going to kill me when I become old. Aprameyanu This boy is getting unlimited strength. Akutaschit Bayo Amara. And he is fearless and he is Amara. He seems to be immortal. I am the person who is supposed to be immortal, but it seems that Prahlad is immortal. Nunam metad virodhena. And I feel, since I have gone against him, Mrityur me bhavita nava. He will definitely be the cause of my death. Or may not. He may or may not be the cause of my death. Because when he looks at the innocent face of Prahlad Maharaj, he thinks maybe he won't harm me. But when he turns away, his demonic nature again comes up and he thinks that, no, this boy, when he grows up, he'll show his true colors. So in the first canto of Bhagavatam, it's mentioned how the mood of devotees are. It is said that if they are criticized, if they are cursed, if they are cheated, criticized and cursed like Parikshit Maharaj, cheated like the Pandavas, or tortured like Haridas Thakur, Prahlad Maharaj, they will never retaliate because they have full faith in the Lord. Whatever happens, the Lord will protect me. That is the mood of pure devotees. And interestingly, in another prayer by an Acharya from the Sri Sampradaya, he says that the Lord has two options. The Lord can either put me in Vaikunta or the Lord can throw me into hell. But I have only one option, and that option is the Lord's will is my will. So this is the mood of pure devotees. So let us see what happened next. Iti tat chintaya kinchim. So thinking in this way, in what way is Hiranyakashipu thinking? He is thinking that Prahlad might kill him, or maybe he may not. Mlana Shriyam Madho Mukham. Mlana Shriyam, all his effulgence of Hiranyakashipu started to fade. He started to become dull. And then Shanda Amarka Ausanasu, Shanda and Amarka came. Vivikta iti hochutu. And they started speaking. And what did they say? Jitam tvaitena jagat trayam Prabhu. You, O Prabhu, O Lord, you have conquered the three worlds. And just by your eyebrows, just by the movement of your eyebrows, all the devas would tremble. And so don't worry too much. You are just thinking too much about this little child. After all, he's just a child. And his opinion will change after some time. So there is nothing to worry. So don't worry. We will bind him. Itam tu parshair varunasya badhva. We will bind him with the ropes of Varuna. Varuna's rope is very famous. So we will bind him with the ropes of Varuna. Because Varuna is under whose control now? Hiranyakashipu. All the devas are under Hiranyakashipu's control. So we will bind him with the ropes of Varuna so that he doesn't run away or he doesn't associate with any devotees or Vaishnavas. And with time, buddhi cha pumso yasarya sevaya. With time his buddhi will change. And whatever we teach him, he will understand. Yavat Guru Bhargava Agamishyati. And when our Guru comes, who's the Guru? Shukracharya. When Shukracharya comes, we will make sure that Prahlad is made the personal servant of Shukracharya. So through Guru Seva, he will become okay. He will become a good boy. So don't worry. All good qualities will come to Prahlad Maharaj. So after hearing this, Hiranyakashipu, he became pacified. He became more peaceful. And he asked Shanda and Amarka, what are you going to teach him? And they said, we will teach him Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. And Hiranyakashipu immediately interrupted. He said, no, don't teach him Moksha. Only Dharma, Artha and Kama. No need for Moksha. If you teach him Moksha, this boy will again run after devotion. So no need to teach him Moksha. Just teach him Dharma, Artha and Kama. That is enough. So Shanda and Amarka, they agreed. They said, okay, we won't teach him. And they started to teach Prahlad Maharaj. Again, Prahlad Maharaj was very submissive. He would just silently hear what they had to say about mundane religion, economic development and sense gratification. So here is written, Yada Trivargam Gurubir, Trivargam, Dharma, Artha, Kama, were taught by Not only Shanda and Amarka, Guru Bir. Many gurus came and taught Prahlad Maharaj. Atmane Upachikshitam. They sat very near him and very lovingly, using very affectionate words. They taught him about Dharma, Artha and Kama. But how did Prahlad Maharaj take it to heart? Na sadhu meneta chiksham. He didn't consider these instructions to be first class. Because what were they teaching him? Dvandva. They were teaching him about the dualities. Friend, enemy. Profit, loss. Favorable, unfavorable. So they were teaching about the dualities. And Prahlad was wondering, what are they talking about? They are talking about friend and enemy. We don't attack anyone. We don't defend. Everything happens by the Lord's will. The Lord is there to take care of this. Then what are they talking about all these dualities? Because Prahlad Maharaj was seeing the Lord in everyone. He was seeing everyone as the same. So now the plot changes. Yadacharya Paravritto. So one day, when the teachers became engaged in Grihamedya Karmasu, the teachers were all engaged in household affairs. So what happened at that time? Balake, all the friends of Prahlad Maharaj, who were of the same age of Prahlad, they took that opportunity to call him to play with them. So there are, Acharyas give two meanings actually. In one meaning is that Prahlad Maharaj took this opportunity to call his friends. He called them. He called his friends. Why? Because Prahlad Maharaj was so compassionate. He knew that these children had taken birth in demoniac families. There was no way that they are going to get good association, good instructions. So what horrible future awaits them? So with that compassionate mind, Prahlad called his friends and he told them that this is the best time to clean their brains. Another meaning is that the friends of Prahlad were attracted to him by his effulgence because they had heard about all the kind of torture that Prahlad Maharaj had to undergo, and still nothing had happened to Prahlad. So they were all very inquisitive to know from Prahlad what exactly happened. Why weren't you harmed in any way? Who protected you? So they wanted to hear from Prahlad. So they called Prahlad. So there are two ways in which this verse can be understood. At that time, Prahlad spoke to his friends. So this verse describes how a preacher should be. Atatan Shlakshnaya Vacha. Prahlad spoke very sweetly to his friends. Pratyahuya Mahabuddha. And Mahabuddha, since he was very learned, he knew how to personally address each boy. He knew the mentality of this boy from this boy and how to talk to this boy. So he knew how to speak in a very convincing and scholarly way. Vacha Vidvamsa Nishtam Kripaya Prahasan Iva. So throughout he spoke to them in a very pleasing way. So after that, the 6th and 7th chapters of the 7th canto contains the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj, which we are not going into. So we will move on to the 8th chapter. So what was the effect of that preaching? What happened? All the children of the demons, they started practicing devotional service. And
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Naiva Guru Anushikshitam, Nai Eva. Whatever their gurus taught them, they completely rejected it. And they took to heart what Prahlad Maharaj had taught them. Not only that, they started practicing devotional service. So all of them started to become Krishna conscious. So at that time, Shanda and Marka, they understood that all the children, their mentality have changed. The mentalities have changed. They have become Krishna conscious because they have become Buddhim Ekanta Samstitam. Samstitam means situation. Ekanta. They knew that the proper understanding is that one who remains at the end is none other than Lord Hari. So they had become Krishna conscious, and Shanta and Amarka, they became very fearful. Alekshya Bhitas, they started to become very afraid because they had promised Hiranyakashipu that they would reform Prahlad Maharaj, and instead what happened? Not only Prahlad didn't become reformed, he converted all the other boys in the Gurukula. They all became Krishna conscious. So Shanda and Amarka, they became so fearful. Now what is Hiranyakashipu going to do to us? So they took the easy method. They immediately rushed to Hiranyakashipu and they told him everything what had happened. Please understand, we have no role in this. We don't know what happened to them. And what happened? Kopeshwa Chalat Gatra. Hiranyakashipu became so angry. Became so angry that his whole body started to tremble. And his only thought in his mind was, this has gone beyond control. This boy has to be killed. Now, why did Hiranyakashipu think like that? Because till now, Hiranyakashipu didn't have any hand in trying to kill Prahlad Maharaj. It was his servants who were doing the job. But now Hiranyakashipu decided, it has gone beyond control. Now I have to take things into my own hand. And then he starts to speak very harsh words. He says that, Prahlad, you are such a fool. And he starts to use all kinds of ill words against Prahlad. He says that you are so sinful. And because he can't even look at Prahlad because he's so angry, he just gives a side glance to Prahlad. Whereas Prahlad, what is he doing? He is offering obeisance to his father. And Prashraya Vanatam Dantam. Dantam means he's totally controlled. So he has complete control of his senses. Because he didn't even utter one word back to his father. Whereas, what was the mood of Hiranyakashipu? Sarpa padahata iva shwasan prakriti dharuna. The last line. Seeing this attitude of Prahlad, who was so calm, offering obeisance to his father. His father is shouting at the top of his voice, and Prahlad here is offering obeisance to him and standing up with folded palms. That made him even more angry. And it was like a sarpa padahata iva. When you trample a snake, how does a snake react? It will attack you, start hissing and bite you. So likewise, Hiranyakashipu started hissing like a snake. Sarcastically, here Shukadeva Goswami uses the word Sri Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. Sri Hiranyakashipu. He is addressing Hiranyakashipu as Sri because Hiranyakashipu is looking beauty in all his fury. So sarcastically, because he was trembling, he was biting his lips, his complexion had become copper red. And so here Shukadeva Goswami addresses him as Sri Hiranyakashipu Uvacha. And what did Hiranyakashipu say? He said that, Prahlad, you are such an fool, you are such an idiot. You are a stupid fool. You were born with a silver spoon. Whatever I have is yours. You have everything. You can become the next emperor. But now you have the misfortune to die at my own hands. And then he goes on, he says that just by my anger, krudasya yasya kampante. Kampante means there is trembling of what? Trayoloka Saheshwara. All the three lokas, when I become angry, all the three lokas start to tremble. Even the devas, they also start to tremble. And yet, tasya me abhitavan mudha. And yet you are fearless and you're so impudent. Oh fool, you are trying to overrule my order. So where are you getting your strength from? He wanted to know where Prahlad was getting his strength from. So he was so angry, he was so demoniac, he was using all kinds of harsh words. Hiranyakashipu wanted to know once and for all, what was the secret behind Prahlad Maharaj's strength? So out of mercy, Prahlad Maharaj again starts to speak. He says that, not even me, O Raja, everyone, including you, gets strength from the same place. Even Brahma, even the living entities, non-living entities, they all take strength from the same source. And from whom is it? Sa Ishvara Kalu Krimanosa. From the Supreme Lord, whose activity is Ukrama, whose activities are beyond our understanding. Ojasaha. And the strength of the senses, the strength of the mind, the bodily strength, everything is from whom? Who creates, maintains, and even annihilates everything. Everything comes, or in other words, the strength is from Sri Hari. So then Hiranyakashipu retorts, he says, what you're saying is illogical. If he gives you strength, I can understand, because you are his servant. But how can he give me strength? Because I am his enemy. So then Prahlad says, he says that, oh Father, please give up this demoniac mentality of yours. Just because he has killed your enemy, killed your brother, it doesn't mean that he is your enemy. Your real enemy is whom? Your mind. Your mind. You cannot control your mind. Your mind is your real enemy. So please understand and please give up this demoniac thought of yours. Because Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, has no enemies. And then, okay, so Prahlad says that Dasyun Pura Shanna Vijitya Lumpad. I agree that you do not have external enemies, but you have 6 enemies. That is the 5 senses and your uncontrolled mind, who is stealing away your buddhi. So this is your real enemy, and that you have to understand. So Hiranyakashipu gets angry. He says that now you are expressing very clearly, Vyaktam, very clearly now you are making it very clear that you want to die. You think that you are on a high pedestal and I am some kind of a low life. This is what you think. Because no father would like to take instructions from their son, right? So he thinks that you are very great and I am somewhere, I am a low life fellow. Is that what you think? You think that you are better at controlling senses than me? So now, enough is enough. You are on the verge of death, O Prahlad. Then he says, you are so unfortunate to believe that there is a supreme controller besides me. Now I have a question for you. If you said that he is all pervading, he is everywhere. If he is all pervading, where is he? So it is said that Prahlad was bound to a pillar at that time when Hiranyakashipu was addressing him. He said that the Lord, you said that the Lord is everywhere. Is he in this assembly? Is he in this pillar? And then Prahlad Maharaj just smiled and said, because he was actually seeing Narasimha Bhagavan was getting ready to emerge from that pillar, and he could see the Lord, but the demoniac Hiranyakashipu couldn't see him. Soham vikattamanna tamanasya. You are speaking so much of nonsense. Shirakaya dharamite. I am going to cut your head. I am going to behead you. I am going to sever your head from your body. Gopayeta haristwadya. Let me see if he can protect you now. If he is actually yaste sharanam ipsitam. If he is your desired protector, let me see if your Hari can protect you. So, evam durukter muhur artayan rusha. So, Hiranyakashipu was constantly speaking these harsh words, rusha, with so much anger. And his son, Sutam Mahabhagavatam Mahasura, his son, the great devotee, Mahasura. So, see the comparison. Here it's written, mentioned Prahlad as Maha Bhagavatam and Hiranyakashipu as Mahasura. So what did he do? Khatgam. Varasanat. Asana means seat, Vara means high seat, throne. So Hiranyakashipu took out his sword, Khatkam. He drew his sword and then he came forwards and Stambam, the pillar, Swamushtina, Mushti, using his own fist. He was so strong, just imagine, using his own fist, he just smashed the pillar. And then what happened? Tadaiva tasmin nindato adibhishano. At that time, a loud, deafening sound emerged. Babuva yenanda kataham asputat. And the sound is described as if the outer shell of the Brahmanda had cracked. And all the demigods, hearing this sound, they feared that something terrible had happened. Hiranyakashipu has done something. And so they all ran to Lord Brahma's abode. They started to yell and scream and they thought that Pralaya is going to happen. Finish. This universe is going to come to an end because they had no clue what was going to happen. So, Sa Vikraman Putra Vadepsur Ojasa. At that time, Hiranyakashipu with Vikrama, with all valor, he jumped from his throne with a sword and he rushed towards Prahlad with the intention of Vadepsur, with the intention of killing him. And then what happened? Nishamya nirhradam apuram adbudam. He heard a nihradam, he heard a roar, which he had never ever heard before. Apurvam, he had never heard before this sound. And it was so astonishing, adbhutam. And it was fear-inducing. And Hiranyakashipu was wondering, where is this sound coming from? Is this coming from my assembly? He started looking here and there. And then, Anta Sabhayamna Dadarsha Tat Padam. He understood that it came from his own assembly. Anta Sabha, from his own assembly. And it was a phenomenon, Na Dadarsha Tat Padam, a phenomenon which he had never seen before. So, Vidatrasu, Hiranyakashipu started to become afraid. And so too, Yena Surari Yudappa. And so too the servants of Hiranyakashipu, they also started to become afraid. Satyam Vidatam Nijabritya Bhashitam. And just to make his words come true. So the Lord always keeps his devotees' words true. And here he wanted to keep Prahlad Maharaj's words true. Not only Prahlad Maharaj, he wanted to keep the words of Lord Brahma's words true. And who else? The Kumaras. Because they had said that the Lord will personally come and deliver you. So to keep all these words come true, Vyatam cha bhuteshu akileshu chatmana. He who is present everywhere, within all entities. How did he come? Adrishya Adbhutarupam. He came in a form that which none had seen before. Adrishyata. And how is his form? It was so astonishingly wonderful. Adbhutarupam. And where did he come from? Stamba. He came from the pillar right in Hiranyakashipu's assembly, and he came in a form of Namrigam, Namanusham. He came in a form that was neither man nor lion. Sri Sri Radha Mata Ki Jai. So Hiranyakashipu is looking around, he's stunned to see the source of this sound, and he's wondering how this form came from the pillar. And Vijitram, Nayam Mrigo Napi Naro Vijitram. Who is this Vijitra creature, which is neither human nor animal? What is this creature that is half man, half lion? And then, while Hiranyakashipu is analyzing all this, Mimamsa, he's trying to figure out what is happening here, seeing this Adbhuta creature. Narasimha Bhagavan comes towards him, and then the beautiful form of Narasimha is described here. It is said that this form was so scary, his eyes were fierce looking, Chandalochanam, and it was like Pradapta Chamikara, it was like molten gold, his eyes. His mane was shining, Swarat Sata Keshara, which expanded the dimensions of his fearful face. Jrimpita Ananam. And his teeth, he had deadly teeth. Karala Damstram. And how is his tongue described? It was very sharp and it is moving like a sword. Karavala Chanchala Shuranta Jihvam. Why is it compared to a sword? Because the tongue, what's the color of the tongue? Red. And it was looking like a sword, which is a swishing sword, which is bathed in blood. So his tongue was moving like this, like a sword. And his face, Shuranda Jihvam Brukuti Mukol Bhanam. His face was frowning and it was looking dreadful. His ears were stiff and it was standing upwards. Stabda Urdhvam Karnam. And his mouth was gaping wide open. And his nostrils and mouth were gaping so wide it looked like caves of a mountain. Giri Gandhara. And his form was so huge that it was touching the sky. Whereas his neck was short. Griva, Pivara. It is short and thick. Whereas his chest, Vakshastalam, was broad and his waist was Alpa, Madhyamam Alpa. His waist was thin, chest was broad. And then the hairs on his body were white as the rays of the moon, Gura. And his hands, which were in hundreds, Anika Shatam. His hands were hundreds of hands he had, and it was moving in all directions as if it would rip the universe. He came in such an angry, Ugra Rubam he came. And what were the weapons? His nails were like Nakhayudam. His nails were like fatal weapons. And seeing this, Hiranyakashipu's servants, Daityas, they all ran helter and skelter because they became so scared. So in between, all this commotion is going on, this magnificent form of Narasimha Bhagavan has appeared, and Hiranyakashipu comes to his senses. This must be Hari, Vishnu. This is my sworn enemy. And he has come to play tricks with me. He is trying to fool me with his illusory forms. He came in the form of a boar some time back, killed my brother. Now he is coming in this form. He is trying to trick me with all these forms with the intention of killing me. And thinking in this manner, Hiranyakashipu, he took up his club and then he Nadan Narasimham Pradi Daitya Kunjara. He tried to attack the Lord like an elephant. It was like an elephant jumping in front of a lion and saying, please eat me up. Nadan Narasimham Pradi Daitya Kunjara. And then what happened? So just like a small insect falls into a fire, that was how Hiranyakashipu was in front of Narasimha Bhagavan. He had lost all effulgence and he was not even visible in front of Narasimha Bhagavan. Hardly noticeable he was. Because the Oja Shakti of Narasimha Bhagavan was too great that Hiranyakashipu couldn't do anything. And thereafter, the great demon, with all anger, he attacked Narasimha Bhagavan with his club. And what did Narasimha Bhagavan do? With one hand he held his club, and with the other hand he held Hiranyakashipu. That was it. And Hiranyakashipu couldn't do anything. He was immobile. He thought he could attack Narasimha Bhagavan. Coolly with one hand he held him, and with the other hand he just held his weapon. He was immobile. And just to play with him, just to toy with him, Narasimha Bhagavan would just release his grip. And that moment, again the foolish Hiranyakashipu would think, this creature has lost his strength. Now this is the best time to attack him again. So now here it's mentioned how Narasimha Bhagavan gave him a chance to slip from his hand. And it's mentioned like Garuda. You know Garuda? Garuda's one enemy is whom? Snakes. So Garuda will also sometimes toy with snakes. He would clasp them in his claws, and then sometimes he will release them, sometimes go and give a one peck, and again take them in his talons, and again release them before he rips them apart. So similarly here, Bhagavan was toying with Hiranyakashipu, which Hiranyakashipu didn't realize. So when Hiranyakashipu thought that he had been freed from the hands of Narasimhadev, he thought Bhagavan is actually afraid of him. So after taking a little rest, again he took up his sword and shield, and with all force, Punastam Asajata Katka Charmani, with all force he attacked Narasimha Bhagavan again. And how did he move? Tamsena Vegam Shatachandra Partmabis. Hiranyakashipu was moving with the speed of a hawk, it is said. Sometimes he would move here, he would move there. He was darting in all directions. Narasimha Bhagavan tolerated all this drama for some time. And then he said, okay, now it's time to finish him off. And he started roaring with laughter. Narasimha Bhagavan started roaring, and this roar was so loud and fearful that Hiranyakashipu becomes so fearful that when a child becomes fearful of something, what does it do? It just closes his eyes and thinks that all is well. So similarly, Hiranyakashipu also kept his eyes shut. And at that moment, Narasimha Bhagavan held him by his neck, and he decided not to let him go. And then, Nakair Yathadim Garudo Mahavisham, and then he took him to the doorway, which was neither indoors or outdoors. He placed him on his lap, which was neither in the sky nor on the land. And the timing was also perfect. It was dusk. It was neither day nor night. So he satisfied all the conditions that Lord Brahma had given him. No weapons used. Instead, what were the weapons used? Nakair, Yata Him Garudo Mahavisham. And then he took his nails as weapons. And then what did he do? His eyes were so intense, so much anger, that nobody could even look at Narasimha Bhagavan. And then Narasimha Bhagavan then just plunged his nails into his abdomen. He just plunged his nails into his abdomen, and then he just ripped him apart.
Surgery successful.
So blood splattered all over the place. There was blood over Bhagavan's face. His tongue was licking the corners of his mouth. His mane was dripping with blood. Face was dripping with blood. It was just like how a lion had killed an elephant. And Narasimha Bhagavan didn't stop with that. After ripping apart his abdomen, what did he do? He took out his intestines and he decorated himself with these intestines. So it is said that like the Vanamali of Vrindavan had become the Antramali for the sake of his devotee. And he didn't stop with that. He moved on to the chest. He ripped open the chest, tore out the heart of Hiranyakashipu, and then he threw it away. So Narada Muni describes this, how just like an elephant just rips a lotus, with that ease he just ripped out Hiranyakashipu's heart and then he threw it away. So when this happened, the demon soldiers, they rushed towards Narasimha Bhagavan, And Narasimha Bhagavan very easily, with the sway of his hands, which were in thousands, he just killed them all with the ends of his nails. He just finished them all. So Hiranyakashipu was killed, his whole army was killed, there was a river of blood in the whole place, and Narasimha Bhagavan was still shaking with anger. His whole body was splattered with blood, and the demigods were also too scared because they had never seen the Lord in so much of anger before. He was breathing heavily. The seas, the oceans, everything was trembling. The whole world was trembling. His loud roar was trembling the whole world. And he was stomping that even Mother Earth thought that she would slip out of orbit. That was the fury of Narasimha Bhagavan. The mountains started to crack, rocks started to roll down, and Narasimha Bhagavan still wanted to fight, but there was nobody left to fight. So what did he do? He went and sat on the throne with blood dripping. So the Devas, they were afraid to approach him. So the easy method is to send the wife forwards. They told Lakshmi Devi, you please go and pacify him. So Lakshmi Devi said, no, I can't go near him. I have never seen him in this kind of a mood before. I can't approach him. So then all of the Devas, the Brahma, headed by Brahma, they requested Prahlad, you please approach Bhagavan, pacify him. So Prahlad Maharaj, he approaches Narasimha Bhagavan, and Narasimha Bhagavan becomes pacified, he becomes pleased, he places Prahlad Maharaj on his lap, blesses him and embraces him. So with this, I'll stop here because we're past time. So this is a very auspicious day that we just recently celebrated. So with that mood, we should appear to Narasimha Bhagavan, that he should appear in our hearts which are ruled by Hiranyakashipu, and break down the pillar of pride in our hearts and protect the Prahlad of our bhakti, and to rip out our anartha so that we can move forwards on our devotional path. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Gaura Premanand.